Are you looking for something a bit different? Something a bit quirky and strange that you've not seen on YouTube before? Well, do come in, settle down. Today I will tell you a story about hedgehogs and potatoes. So our story is set in the world of Chutasia. And Chutasia is a place dear to me because I have been interacting with it for over 20 years. So let's meet our main character, Chutney. Chutney is a Chutasian hedgehog, so a hedgehog from the world of Chutasia, who has travelled through time and space to inhabit a stuffed toy body on planet Earth. And Chutney can communicate with me telepathically, and she has been telling me all the stories about where she's from for a very long time, and I am now sharing them with you on YouTube. So today's video is going to be an introduction to a key event in Chutasian history called the War of the Potato. Now this is very important because Chutasian hedgehogs, they're not like Earth hedgehogs. They like potato, yogurt, cake, they like dancing and singing, and overall they're a bit silly and a bit quirky. But this event, the War of the Potato, it has a serious side, but you know, it's also hopefully funny, or at least amusing, or at least strange. I think it's a bit strange. So let's get started. So the first thing we do need to know is that Chutney is a princess. Princess Chutney. She is part of the Chutasian royal family, and her mother is the queen. So during the War of the Potato, Chutney's mum was the queen. So today we're going to cover what triggered the war to begin. So actually, the starting place, gosh, wow, sophisticated vocabulary, the environment, the catalyst environment, no, this is crap. All right, keep going. So Chutney wasn't born when our story begins, so I'm gonna put you down. The royal family, including Chutney's mum, were living on the main island of Chutaland, and Chutaland is home to the Chutasian royal palace, which is in a town called Chutaland is also home to the Blanket Mountains and the Worm River. And this kind of climate with the mountains and the river being very long and a great water source led to a lot of fertile land on Chutaland. And what do the hedgehogs like to grow in their fertile farmland? They like to grow potatoes, of course. But something happened, something bad happened. One day, they just found that the potatoes were just not growing anymore. And as you can imagine, it caused a bit of chaos because there was no potatoes to eat, but there was also no potatoes to buy, and there were no potatoes to sell. So whilst this did impact their stomachs, it also impacted the Chutasian economy and the political landscape. So many of the hedgehogs sort of started spreading conspiracies about why the potatoes stopped growing. Now that the war is over, there are some more sensible explanations for why the potatoes stopped growing. One of them being that the Chutasian calendar dictates when you should plant your potatoes, and perhaps the Chutasian calendar is not very good. I've made a series about that, which is linked below if you're interested in fantasy calendars. And then one of the other more reasonable ideas is that the planet that Chutasia is on is called Hedgehog, and it's possible that there was some sort of space astronomical event, that maybe an asteroid hit Hedgehog, something like that, and the axis has shifted, which has changed some of the climates or the seasons on Chutasia, which might also be why the potatoes weren't growing. We don't know, but the conspiracies that the hedgehogs had for why the potatoes weren't growing were not as logical as that. So one of the main ringleaders and one of the key players and characters in our story about the War of the Potato is a farmer who is called Farmer Jaune Poppy, and we're going to be hearing a lot about Farmer Jaune Poppy. So he is actually a distant relative of Chutney's, so he's kind of related to the royal family. But despite being related to the royal family, he was actually an anti-royalist, and he was also very religious, a religious fanatic, and he started a sort of cult or a movement based around his conspiracy about why the potatoes weren't growing and what you might be able to do to fix it. Now, I warn you, it's very strange. It's a bit strange, but you did come here to watch something weird. So, Farmer Jean Poppy, his movement is called the Urination. And I think you might know what direction this is going in. So a lot of the hedgehogs on the island of Chutaland worship a god who is called Hod. And Farmer Jean Poppy, he popularised the idea that since Hod made their hedgehog bodies were holy, and therefore anything their bodies produced were also holy and might hold the key to regaining the fertile soils of Chutaland so that they may again resume planting and eating potatoes. So Farmer Jean Poppy, what was his solution? As he would say, "We on the crops, lads." So his slogan was urination across the nation. And yeah, so as you can tell, his solution was, I think we should just like pee everywhere, and then our holy urine will heal the soil and we will once again have our potatoes, but they might taste a bit weird. So he is the kind of key, is nemesis the right word? No, not nemesis, the sort of opposition. So you have on one side the royals who they just want to stay in power, to be honest. They like their palace and they like their large vats of potato dauphinoise, and they just want things to go back to normal. And then on the other side, you have the sort of anti-royalist rebel religious fanatics, the Urination, led by Farmer Jean Poppy. So at this point, it's not yet a war, it's just a rebellion. So what is it that triggers this this complex political, I don't know proper words, upheaval, uprising? What is it that transforms it from just a sort of discontent to a full-blown war? Well, what happens is the final sack of potatoes is stolen from the royal store, and the Queen says, "That's it, I've had enough. We don't have any potatoes left. Something's got to give." So in the next episode, we're going to be covering who is it who stole this final sack of potatoes and where did the royals flee to? So if you'd be interested in knowing that, don't forget to subscribe so you'll see that video. And in the meantime, you can brush up on your Chutasian geography facts by watching this video here.